The alarm cut through the quiet hum of the cargo bay like a knife. Captain Elena Ruiz was 3 decks down, checking the seals on container 47, when her communication device buzzed against her hip. "Captain, we have a situation." Marcus Chen's voice was tight with tension. Her first officer never sounded worried unless something was truly wrong. Elena dropped her inspection tablet and ran for the ladder. Her boots clanged against the metal rungs as she climbed toward the bridge. The Steadfast Horizon was not a fast ship. It was not a pretty ship. It carried mining equipment, food supplies, and industrial components across the Outer Rim territories. They were merchants, nothing more. "What is it?" she asked, pulling herself onto the bridge level. Marcus stood at the communication station, his dark eyes fixed on the screen before him. "Distress signal. Bexalian diplomatic vessel. They're under attack by pirates." Krail from the signature. Elena felt her stomach tighten. The Krail were bad news. They were organized, ruthless, and well-armed. Their pirate clans controlled 3 entire sectors that the Galactic Council pretended didn't exist. "How far?" she asked. 40 minutes at full burn." Dr. Yuki Tanaka looked up from her station near the medical bay access. "We can't just ignore it." Elena said nothing. She walked to her captain's chair and sat down slowly. On the main screen, the distress signal pulsed in standard galactic code. It was automated, which meant the crew might already be dead, or worse, dying and unable to manually call for help. "Captain," Marcus said quietly, "you know what will happen if we respond." She knew. She knew exactly what would happen. Elena pulled up the ship's record on her personal screen. There it was, in bright red letters across the top of their file. "Wei Xin danger. Approach with extreme caution." The warning was written in 17 different languages. Every species in the galaxy that encountered the Steadfast Horizon saw that warning first. It had started 3 years ago. A pleasure cruiser had sent out a distress call, some kind of biological contamination, passengers dying, ship locked down by automatic quarantine protocols. The Galactic Council had ordered all vessels to maintain distance until a specialized team could arrive. That team would take 6 days to reach the ship. Elena had been hauling medical supplies at the time. She had EVA suits. She had quarantine protocols. She had a doctor on board who volunteered without hesitation. They had boarded the cruise ship. They had saved 43 people. And when they returned to port, they had been arrested for violating quarantine protocols, risking contamination spread, and unauthorized medical intervention. The charges were eventually dropped. The families of the people they saved made sure of that, but the flag stayed on their record. Then there was the stellar storm incident. Miners trapped on an asteroid, their ship destroyed. No rescue possible according to galactic safety standards. The storm was too dangerous, too unpredictable. Elena had flown the Steadfast Horizon through it anyway, using the asteroid itself as a shield. They saved 11 people that day. They also got flagged for reckless endangerment and violation of navigational safety protocols. After that came the derelict station, the colony ship engine failure, the medical emergency in the neutral zone. Every single time the Steadfast Horizon had helped. Every single time they had been punished for it. The flag on their record grew bigger. The warnings grew more severe. Other ships started avoiding them in port. Station masters watched them with suspicion. Insurance companies refused to cover them. "They think we're dangerous," Marcus said, reading her thoughts. He had been with her for all of it. "They think we're unpredictable, violent, prone to engaging in combat situations." "We've never started a fight," Yuki added. "No," Elena agreed. "We just finished them." She looked at her crew. There were only 12 people on the Steadfast Horizon. 12 humans in a galaxy of thousands of species. 12 people who couldn't seem to follow the simple galactic rule: don't get involved. "Let's vote," Elena said. "This is Krail pirates. If we respond, we'll probably have to fight. Our ship isn't armed for real combat. We could die. And if we survive, our record gets worse. We might never get another legitimate cargo contract. Show of hands. Who wants to respond?" 12 hands went up, including her own. Elena felt something warm spread through her chest. Pride, maybe, or possibly the certainty that they were about to do something incredibly stupid. Marcus, plot the fastest course. Yuki, prep the medical bay for mass casualties. Everyone else, emergency stations. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. The steadfast horizon turned in space, its old engines burning hot as they accelerated toward the distress signal. Elena watched the countdown timer on her screen. 38 minutes, 37, 36. Captain, I'm picking up other signals, Marcus reported. 4 other ships received the distress call. All of them are moving away from the area. Of course they were. That was standard protocol. When pirates attacked, you ran. You reported it to the authorities. You let the military handle it. You did not engage, but the galactic military wouldn't arrive for hours, maybe days. The Vexalians didn't have hours. Any identification on the Vexalian vessel? Elena asked. Marcus checked his screen. Yes, it's the Harmonious Dawn, diplomatic transport. They're carrying Ambassador Threx and his delegation. 47 souls on board, 47 people. Elena did the math in her head. They had room for maybe 30 in their cargo bay if they cleared out the containers. The medical bay could hold another 10. They would have to make it work. How many pirate ships? She asked. 3, standard Krail raiders, fast, well-armed. They're tearing the Harmonious Dawn apart. Elena pulled up the tactical display. The Vexalian ship was dead in space, atmosphere venting from multiple hull breaches. The 3 pirate vessels circled it like predators, taking their time. They were probably stripping the ship of anything valuable before they killed everyone on board. We have 1 mining laser, Elena said, thinking out loud. We have explosive decompression charges for emergency bulkhead clearance. We have cargo containers that can be jettisoned. And we have absolute rage at people who prey on the helpless. Yuki laughed. It was a short, sharp sound. We're going to fight 3 pirate ships with mining equipment? Yes, Elena said simply. Marcus was already running calculations. If we come in fast using the cargo containers as forward shields, we can get close enough to use the laser. It won't destroy them, but it might damage their weapons systems. And then what? Yuki asked. Then we board the Vexalian ship and get those people out while the pirates are confused. That's insane. Probably, Elena agreed. But someone called for help. We're the only ones who answered. The timer hit 0. The Harmonious Dawn appeared on their visual display. An elegant ship now broken and bleeding atmosphere. The 3 pirate vessels were darker, angular, built for violence. Elena opened the general communication channel. Krail vessels. This is the cargo ship Steadfast Horizon. You are attacking a diplomatic vessel in violation of galactic law. Cease your assault immediately. There was a moment of silence. Then laughter crackled through the speakers. Cargo ship, a rough voice said in heavily accented galactic common. You should run. This doesn't concern you. Elena looked at her crew, at Marcus, his hand steady on the controls, at Yuki, already pulling on her emergency medical gear, at the others, preparing for something they had never trained for. It concerns us now, Elena said. Last chance, leave, more laughter. Then the communication cut off. The pirate ships turned toward them. All hands, Elena announced over the ship-wide intercom. Brace for combat. The steadfast horizon, flagged across the galaxy as dangerous, rushed forward to do what it did best. It rushed toward trouble, not away from it. It went to help people who needed saving. The war hadn't started yet. But the first shot was about to be fired. The first pirate shot missed the steadfast horizon by 30 meters. The second hit a cargo container that Marcus had already jettisoned. It exploded in a bright flash, sending debris spinning into the void. Container shield is working, Marcus reported, his voice steady despite the ship shaking around them. Deploying the second row. Elena gripped her chair's armrests. She had never commanded a ship in combat before. None of them had. But she had watched enough tactical recordings, studied enough scenarios. The Krail pirates expected them to run. They expected fear. They were about to be disappointed. Yuki, how long until you can board the Vexalian ship? Elena asked. Give me a docking path in 10 minutes. I'll need someone to help carry the wounded. Take Jenkins and Ramirez. Anyone who can walk goes to cargo bay 2. Anyone who can't walk gets carried. No one gets left behind. Understood. The steadfast horizon shuddered as another shot glanced off their hull. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. They weren't built for this. Their shields were designed to protect against micrometeorites and radiation, not military-grade weapons. Marcus, get us closer, Elena ordered, and charge the mining laser. Captain, the mining laser takes 90 seconds to reach full power. We'll be in weapons range the entire time. I know. Do it anyway. The cargo ship accelerated, pushing its engines harder than they were meant to go. On the screen, Elena could see the Harmonious Dawn growing larger. It was a beautiful ship, or had been. Now it looked like something had taken bites out of it. Atmosphere still vented from at least 6 breaches. Bodies floated in the debris field around it. Elena forced herself to look away. She couldn't think about the dead. She had to focus on the living. 45 seconds on the laser, Marcus announced. A pirate ship moved to intercept them. It was smaller than the Steadfast Horizon, but faster, more maneuverable. Its weapons locked onto them. "Brace!" Marcus shouted. The ship shook violently. Lights flickered. Someone screamed on the lower decks. But they were still flying, still moving forward. "Hull breach on deck 3. The computer announced in a calm voice. "Emergency bulkheads activated." "That's near the engine room," Elena said. "Get a team there. I don't care if they have to patch it with tape and prayers, we need those engines running." 20 seconds on the laser. The second pirate ship joined the first. 2 against 1 now. The Steadfast Horizon's shield generators screamed in protest. Warning alerts flashed faster than Elena could read them. "Captain, we can't take much more of this," Marcus said. "We don't have to." 10 seconds. Elena watched the timer count down. 9, 8, 7. The third pirate ship was moving around behind them, trying to flank. 6, 5, 4. The Harmonious Dawn was right in front of them now, close enough to see the faces pressed against the intact portholes. People. Living people who needed help. 3, 2, 1. "Fire!" Elena shouted. The mining laser was designed to cut through asteroids. It was meant to carve up rocks so mining crews could extract valuable minerals. It was not designed as a weapon, but a laser was a laser. The beam lanced out, brilliant blue-white, and caught the nearest pirate ship directly in its weapons array. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire front section of the pirate vessel exploded. It spun away, trailing atmosphere and debris. "Direct hit," Marcus yelled. "Their weapons are offline. Get us to the Vexalian ship now!" The Steadfast Horizon didn't slow down. It dove toward the Harmonious Dawn like a hawk dropping on prey. The remaining 2 pirate ships fired, but their shots went wide. They hadn't expected the cargo ship to attack. They hadn't expected it to land a hit. They definitely hadn't expected it to keep coming. "Docking in 30 seconds, Marcus announced. "Yuki, are you ready?" "Ready?" Yuki's voice came through the intercom. "We have medical supplies, stretchers, and pure stubbornness. Let's go save some people." The Steadfast Horizon aligned with the Harmonious Dawn's emergency airlock. The pirate ships were regrouping, coming around for another attack. They had maybe 5 minutes before things got very bad. "Docking complete," Marcus said. "But Captain, the Harmonious Dawn is reading heavy radiation near the reactor, and there are fires in 3 sections. It's not safe to board." Elena stood up from her chair. "When has that ever stopped us?" She headed for the airlock, grabbing an EVA suit from the emergency locker as she went. She could hear Yuki and the others already at the docking port, preparing to breach. The airlock equalized with a hiss. Yuki's team was first through, medical scanners already out. Elena followed, stepping into hell. The Harmonious Dawn was dying. Smoke filled the corridors. Emergency lights flickered. The gravity generators were failing, causing strange pockets where people floated helplessly, and everywhere there were bodies. Some moving, some not. "Medical team, start triage," Yuki ordered. "Anyone who can walk, follow me to the cargo ship. Anyone who's injured but stable, your second priority. Critical cases last." It was brutal math. Save the ones who could survive. Don't waste time on lost causes. But Elena had never been good at math. She found the first survivor in the command deck. A Vexalian male, his breathing labored, his skin the wrong shade of blue. The medical scanner on Elena's wrist flashed red. Critical. Internal injuries. Maybe 30 minutes to live without surgery. "Can you walk?" Elena asked in Galactic Common. The Vexalian's eyes focused on her with difficulty. "Human?" he whispered. "The dangerous ones?" Elena almost laughed. "Yeah, that's us." "Can you walk?" "No, leave me." "Save the others?" "Not how we do things," Elena said. She grabbed him, pulling his arm over her shoulders. He was heavy, much heavier than a human. But she had carried cargo containers in high gravity. She could manage. She half walked, half dragged him toward the airlock. All around her, her crew was doing the same. Jenkins had 2 children on his back. Ramirez was carrying an unconscious diplomat. Yuki was performing some kind of emergency procedure on someone who was bleeding from a wound Elena couldn't identify. "Captain?" Marcus's voice crackled in her ear. "Pirates are coming back. 3 minutes. We need 5. We don't have 5. Then make some noise. Fire everything we have. Make them think twice." She heard the mining laser charge up again. Through the hull, she felt the vibration of their cargo launchers firing. They were shooting containers at the pirate ships. It wouldn't do much damage, but it would confuse them. Buy time. Elena reached the airlock with her survivor. She pushed him through into the Steadfast Horizon's cargo bay, where crew members were setting up emergency medical stations. Then she turned back. "How many left?" She shouted to Yuki. "At least 20. But Captain, the reactor is going critical. We have 2 minutes before it breaches. 2 minutes. 20 people." It wasn't enough time. "Everyone grab someone and run," Elena ordered. What happened next was chaos. Pure desperate chaos. Crew members ran through the burning corridors grabbing anyone they could find. They didn't check status. They didn't do triage. They just grabbed and ran. Elena found a group of 5 Vexalians huddled in what used to be a meeting room. "Move!" she shouted. Now they stared at her. One of them, wearing the elaborate robes of a diplomat, spoke. "You are human. You came for us? I'm human, and I'm about to drag you to safety whether you like it or not. Let's go." Something in her voice must have convinced them. They followed her, stumbling through the smoke and debris. The ship groaned around them. Metal screamed. The reactor was seconds away from a full breach. They made it to the airlock. Elena counted heads as people piled through. 15, 20, 25. More than she had hoped. "But not everyone, Captain, we have to go." Marcus was yelling. "The reactor, 10 more seconds." Yuki appeared from the smoke, carrying someone over her shoulder. Behind her came 2 more crew members, each supporting a wounded Vexalian. That was it. That was everyone they could find. Elena slapped the airlock control. The door hissed shut. "Marcus, get us out of here." The Steadfast Horizon disengaged from the Harmonious Dawn. Its engines fired at full power, pushing them away. On the screen, Elena watched the diplomatic ship. It had been someone's pride and joy once. It had carried ambassadors and dignitaries across the galaxy. Now it died. The reactor breached. The explosion was brief, bright, and absolute. The Harmonious Dawn became an expanding cloud of debris and radiation. But 47 Vexalians were alive in the Steadfast Horizon's cargo bay. The pirate ship stopped firing. They held position as if unsure what to do. A cargo ship had just fought them, boarded a dying vessel, and extracted survivors from an impossible situation. Then, slowly, the pirates turned and fled into the dark. Elena sat down hard on the deck. Her hands were shaking. Around her, her crew was doing the same, the adrenaline finally wearing off. "Captain," Marcus said quietly. "We did it. We did something," Elena replied. "I'm not sure what." In the cargo bay, Yuki was working on the wounded. The Vexalian diplomat Elena had found was sitting up now, his dark eyes fixed on her. "Why?" he asked. "Why did you come?" "Your species is marked as dangerous. You could have left us." Elena met his gaze. "You called for help," she said simply. "We answered." The diplomat stared at her for a long moment. Then he bowed his head, a gesture of deep respect in Vexalian culture. "I am Ambassador Threx," he said, "and I will never forget what you have done." Neither would the galaxy. News of the rescue was already spreading across communication networks. The Galactic Council chamber was built to impress. It rose 20 stories high, with seats arranged in concentric circles for representatives from 417 different species. At the center was a platform where matters of galactic importance were decided. Today, that platform held a holographic recording of the Steadfast Horizon's rescue. Counselor Vresh of the Therian Collective watched the footage for the 3rd time. His scales rippled with distress. On the screen, the human cargo ship charged directly at armed pirates. It used mining equipment as weapons. It docked with a ship that was actively exploding, and then the humans went inside. They boarded a vessel with critical radiation levels, Counselor Murta said. She was Vexalian, and her voice carried both gratitude and fear. "Our own military protocols would have forbidden such action. The risk was too great." "Risk to themselves," Counselor Vresh noted. "They did not risk others, only their own lives. That is what makes them dangerous," another counselor said. This one was Kreth, a species known for their careful risk assessment. They do not follow standard safety protocols. They cannot be predicted. The recording continued. The humans carried Vexalians through fire and smoke. They moved through environments that should have killed them. They worked with a desperate efficiency that no other species could match. We have 47 documented cases now, Counselor Vresh said. He pulled up a file that made several counselors lean back in their seats. 47 times that human vessels have been flagged for dangerous behavior, and in every single case they were saving lives. The chamber went quiet. The plague ship incident, Vresh continued. They violated quarantine protocols, but they saved 43 people who would have died before the proper medical team arrived. The stellar storm rescue. They flew through conditions that our computers marked as unsurvivable. They saved 11 miners. The derelict station. The colony ship. The medical emergency. Every time humans break our rules, every time people live because of it, they also engage in combat, the Kreth counselor said. They attacked the Krail pirates. They defended themselves in the Vexalian ship. They used weapons. They used mining equipment, Counselor Murda corrected quietly. They are a cargo vessel. They are not even a military ship. And still they came when no one else would. Ambassador Threx entered the chamber then. He was still recovering from his injuries, but he had insisted on testifying. The council fell silent as he approached the central platform. I was on the Harmonious Dawn, Threx said. His voice was weak but steady. I felt my ship dying around me. I heard the pirates laughing as they stripped our vessel apart. I watched my people die, he paused, and then the humans came. He gestured to the holographic display. We are taught that humans are dangerous. We are warned to keep our distance. We are told they are unpredictable and violent. And all of that is true, but we have misunderstood what their danger means. Threx looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of counselors from dozens of species. Humans are not dangerous because they are aggressive. They are dangerous because they are protective. They see someone in trouble and they cannot look away. They hear a call for help and they must answer. It is not logical. It is not safe. But it is who they are. That kind of behavior destabilizes our systems, the Kreth counselor argued. We have protocols for rescue operations. We have procedures for these situations. Your procedures would have let us die, Threx said flatly. The proper military response time was 4 hours. We had 20 minutes before our reactor breached. The humans reached us in 40 minutes and extracted us in less than 10. They did what was impossible because they did not know it was supposed to be impossible. Counselor Vresh pulled up another file. I have been studying human history. It is disturbing reading. They have a word in their language, hero. It means someone who risks everything to save others. Most species have similar concepts, but for humans it is different. Heroes are not rare exceptions. They are common, expected. There are human civilians who will run into burning buildings to save strangers. There are human children who will dive into dangerous waters to rescue drowning animals. That is insanity, someone whispered. That is humanity, Vresh replied. And we have been treating it as a threat when perhaps it is something else entirely. The debate continued for hours. Some counselors argued that humanity should be further restricted. Others suggested that the dangerous classification should be removed. A few wondered if humanity could be trusted as allies. No one could agree. That night, news of the council debate spread across the galactic networks. Every species heard the same story. The dangerous humans had saved Vexalian lives when no one else would. But one group heard a very different message. In the dark sectors where the Krail Confederacy held power, pirate clan leaders gathered. They watched the footage of their ships being driven off by a cargo vessel. They saw their raiders fleeing from humans who should have been easy prey. This is unacceptable, clan leader Vorgath said. He was massive even for a Krail, with scars covering his gray skin. A cargo ship defeated 3 of our raiders. We are being mocked across the trade networks. The humans got lucky, another clan leader said. They caught us by surprise. Luck or not, the result is the same. We look weak. And weakness invites challenges. Vorgath pulled up information on the steadfast horizon. Its specifications, its cargo routes, its crew manifest. 12 humans, 1 small ship. They humiliated us in front of the entire galaxy. What do you propose? We demand satisfaction. Galactic law is clear. They attacked our vessels during a legitimate salvage operation. The Vexalian ship was not abandoned. It was still transmitting distress signals. Details. Forgath waved a hand dismissively. What matters is that they fired on Krail vessels. That is an act of war according to our codes. We demand they surrender their ship and crew for trial. The other clan leaders murmured agreement. It was elegant in a brutal way. The humans would have to choose, surrender and face certain death, or refuse and give the Krail Confederacy justification for retaliation. Either way, the insult would be answered. The ultimatum was sent to the Galactic Council within hours. It was written in formal Galactic Common, with all the proper legal citations. The Krail Confederacy demanded that the Steadfast Horizon and its crew be turned over for prosecution of piracy, unlawful engagement and murder of Krail citizens. If the demand was not met within 10 Galactic Standard days, the Krail Confederacy would consider it an act of war by humanity as a whole. The message caused panic in the council chambers. War with the Krail would be devastating. They controlled 3 sectors. They had thousands of ships. They were brutal, efficient, and utterly without mercy. Councillor Vresh read the ultimatum with growing dread. He knew what the council would decide. 1 ship was not worth a war. 12 humans were not worth the lives that would be lost in a conflict with the Krail. The mathematics were simple. The Steadfast Horizon would be surrendered. Captain Ruiz and her crew would be handed over to certain death. And humanity would learn a valuable lesson about the cost of being dangerous. Ambassador Sarah Okonkwo received the council's decision in her office on the human delegation station. She read it twice, then a third time, hoping she had misunderstood. She had not. They want us to surrender our people, she said to her assistant. They want us to hand over Captain Ruiz and her crew to the Krail. What did the Earth government say? They're debating. The Security Council is divided. Some say we should comply, avoid a war. Others say we cannot abandon our citizens. What do you say? Ambassador Okonkwo looked out the window at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, the Steadfast Horizon was limping to the nearest port, its hull damaged, its crew exhausted. They had saved 47 lives. They had done what no one else would do, and now they were being asked to die for it. I say we draft a response, Okonkwo said quietly, and I say we make it clear exactly what humanity stands for. She sat at her desk and began to write. The words came easily. She had been a diplomat for 20 years. She had negotiated trade agreements, peace treaties, and cultural exchanges. She knew how to be polite, how to be diplomatic, how to say difficult things with gentle words. Today, she used none of that skill. The response was short, just 3 paragraphs. But those 3 paragraphs would change everything. She sent it to the Galactic Council first, then to the Krail Confederacy, then to every major news network in the galaxy. By the time she finished, the message was already spreading faster than light across communication relays. Ambassador Threx read it in his hospital room. He read it 3 times, and then he began to laugh. It was a deep, genuine sound that made the human nurses smile even though they didn't know what was funny. What is it? One of them asked. Threx showed her the message. Your people, he said. Your impossible, dangerous, wonderful people. The nurse read the response. Her eyes went wide. Then she started laughing too. Across the galaxy, in stations and ships and planetary capitals, billions of beings read the same message, and every one of them understood that something fundamental had just changed. The humans had given their answer. And it was not the answer anyone expected. The message from Ambassador Sarah Okonkwo was displayed on every major news network within an hour. It appeared in 17 different languages, but the meaning was the same in all of them. To the Krail Confederacy and the Galactic Council, we have received your ultimatum regarding the crew of the Steadfast Horizon. Our response is simple. No. We will not surrender Captain Elena Ruiz and her crew. We will not apologize for their actions. They responded to a distress call and saved 47 lives. If you consider that a crime, then we are proud to be criminals. The crew of the Steadfast Horizon acted with honor, courage, and compassion. These are human values. We will not abandon them because it is convenient. We will not sacrifice them because you find their actions threatening. If you want a war over our refusal to betray our principles, then you have fundamentally misunderstood who you are threatening. Humanity stands with the Steadfast Horizon. Always. Ambassador Sarah Okonkwo, human delegation to the Galactic Council. The reaction was immediate and explosive. In the Galactic Council chambers, Councillor Vresh read the message with his head in his hands. They refused, he said unnecessarily. The humans refused. This is disaster, the Kreth counselor said. The Krail will see this as an insult. They will retaliate. Against one human ship, or against all of humanity? No one had an answer. Counselor Myrta stood slowly. I must speak with my government. If there is to be war, the Vexalian Republic will not stand idle. The humans saved our people. We owe them a debt. You would risk war for them? The Kreth counselor asked, shocked. They risked death for us, Myrta replied simply. What kind of people would we be if we did not return that loyalty? She was not the only one thinking that way. Across the galaxy, species that had been helped by humans in the past were having similar conversations. The mining colony that had been saved from the stellar storm sent a message of support. The survivors of the plague ship sent another. Even the families from the derelict station reached out. But there were also those who saw opportunity in the chaos. The Krail Confederacy called an emergency meeting of the clan leaders. Vorgath stood at the center of a holographic conference, his image projected to 17 different ships. The humans have given us their answer, he said. They choose war. They chose honor, one of the smaller clan leaders said quietly. They refuse to abandon their people. Honor is a luxury, Vorgath snapped. We gave them a simple choice. Surrender one ship and avoid conflict. They chose conflict. Now we must show them the cost of that choice. How many ships will you send? Another leader asked. Enough. We will hit them hard and fast. We will make an example that the galaxy will not forget. Which target? Vorgath pulled up a star map. A small colony world glowed red. New Vancouver. Human agricultural colony. 3 million inhabitants. Minimal military presence. We strike there in 3 days. We show the humans that their protection of the steadfast horizon has consequences. 3 million civilians, the quiet clan leader said. That is not a military target. It is a message, Vorgath replied. The humans will learn what happens when they defy the Krail. On Earth, in the capital city of New Geneva, the Human Security Council met in emergency session. The room was designed for calm, rational discussion. Today it was filled with shouting. We cannot fight the Krail Confederacy. Admiral Zhang was on his feet, his face red. They have numerical superiority. They control strategic sectors. This is suicide. We cannot surrender our citizens, Ambassador Okonkwo shot back. Captain Ruiz and her crew saved lives. We will not hand them over to be executed. So we sacrifice millions to save 12? We stand on principle. If we abandon our people now, what message does that send? That human lives only matter when it's convenient? That we'll betray anyone if the threat is big enough? The Secretary General raised her hand for silence. Maria Santos was 60 years old with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much compromise. But today she looked different. Today she looked angry. I have been a diplomat for 30 years, Santos said quietly. I have negotiated peace when war seemed certain. I have found middle ground when positions seemed impossible. But there is no middle ground here. The Krail want us to give them our people so they can be killed. There is no negotiation possible. Then you choose war, Admiral Zhang said. No. The Krail chose war when they attacked the Harmonious Dawn. We are simply refusing to surrender. Semantics won't save us. Perhaps not, Santos agreed. But neither will cowardice. Ambassador Okonkwo, your message has already been sent. There is no taking it back now. Admiral, prepare the fleet. If the Krail want war, we will give them one they will never forget. We don't have the numbers, and then we will fight smarter. And we will make sure the entire galaxy sees exactly what they are fighting for. 3 days later, the Krail fleet arrived at New Vancouver. Captain Elena Ruiz was on the steadfast horizon, still docked at a repair station when the news came through. She watched the reports with growing horror. 15 Krail warships, all armed, all heading for a colony world that had no real defenses. This is because of us, she said quietly. Marcus stood beside her, his face grim. This is because of them, he corrected. The Krail chose to attack civilians. That's not on you. If we had just surrendered, then they would have killed us and probably found another excuse to attack anyway. Predators don't stop being predators because you feed them. On the view screen, New Vancouver looked peaceful. Green fields, blue oceans, cities that glowed softly in the night. 3 million people who were about to learn what war meant. But the Krail fleet never reached the planet, the Human Response Force dropped out of faster-than-light travel between the Krail and New Vancouver. 30 ships. Not enough to match the Krail in a straight fight, but enough to make them pause. Admiral Zhang's face appeared on every communication channel. Krail vessels, you are approaching a civilian colony world. Turn back now. Vorgath's response was laughter. You are outnumbered. You cannot stop us, we can try. And we will. Then you will die. Probably, Admiral Zhang agreed. But we will die protecting our people. Can you say the same? The first shots were fired by the Krail. That much was clear on every recording. They targeted the human ships with overwhelming force. The battle should have been over in minutes, but something strange happened. Something that no military analyst had predicted. The human ships fought differently. They didn't try to match the Krail in firepower. Instead, they used speed, misdirection, and tactics that seemed insane. They drew the Krail away from New Vancouver. They split their forces. They made themselves targets, and they broadcast everything. Every ship had cameras running. Every engagement was streamed live across the galactic networks. Billions of beings watched as human ships took damage to protect civilian targets. They watched as human crews refused to retreat even when their ships were failing. But they also saw something else. They saw hospital ships, actual medical vessels painted white with red crosses sitting just behind the battle lines. What are those? A Krail captain demanded, staring at his scanner. Medical ships, his tactical officer reported. They're not armed. Why are they in a battle zone? No one had an answer. It made no sense. Until the first Krail ship took critical damage, the human fleet stopped firing. They actually stopped firing at the damaged ship. Instead, they broadcast a message on all frequencies. Krail vessel, your ship is critically damaged. We are offering evacuation assistance. Please respond. Vorgath watched from his flagship, unable to believe what he was seeing. They are offering to help us? It appears so, clan leader. It's a trick. It must be a trick, but it wasn't a trick. When the Krail crew abandoned their dying ship, human rescue shuttles were there. They pulled Krail warriors from the void. They brought them to the hospital ships. They gave them medical care, and they broadcast it all. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched in confusion and wonder. The humans were fighting a war, but they were also saving the people they were fighting. It was impossible. It was illogical. It was very, very human. The battle continued for 8 hours. The Krail had superior numbers, but the humans had something else. They had a reason to fight that went beyond victory. They were protecting their people, and everyone watching could see it. When the Krail finally retreated, they had lost 4 ships. The humans had lost 7. But New Vancouver was safe, and 43 Krail warriors were in human medical care, being treated for injuries by the same doctors who were treating human wounded. Admiral Zhang's final message was broadcast to the entire galaxy. This is who we are. We fight when we must. We protect when we can. And we help even those who would harm us, because that is what it means to be human. Vorgath sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display. His fleet had retreated. They had been fought to a standstill by inferior numbers, and worse, much worse, the humans had shown mercy. Clan leader, his second-in-command said quietly, our wounded that were captured, the humans are treating them. I know. They could have let them die. They had every right. But they saved them. Vorgath said nothing. He thought of the diplomatic ship they had been stripping for parts. He thought of the Vexalians dying while he laughed. He thought of the humans charging in to save people they didn't even know. Clan leader, what are your orders? The peace talks were held on a neutral station in the borderlands between human and Krail space. Secretary General Maria Santos arrived with a small delegation. Clan leader Vorgath came with twice as many guards, all heavily armed. The first meeting lasted exactly 7 minutes before Vorgath stood up. This is pointless, he said. You want us to apologize for attacking a diplomatic vessel. We want you to acknowledge that you fired on Krail ships. Neither of us will compromise. Santos remained seated. Then why are you here? Vorgath stopped at the door. I do not know, he admitted. We should still be fighting. We should be raiding your colonies until you surrender. That is what we do. That is who we are. But you are not doing that. No. Vorgath turned back to face her. You saved our warriors. The ones we left behind after the battle. You could have let them die. You could have executed them. Instead, you healed them. Why? Santos considered her answer carefully. Because they needed help. Because we could provide that help. Because that is what we do. Even to enemies. Especially to enemies. It is easy to help friends. The true measure of character is how you treat those who have harmed you. Forgath sat down again. This time he waved his guards away. Tell me about the steadfast horizon. Tell me about Captain Ruiz and her crew. So Santos told him. She told him about every incident on their record, every violation of protocol, every time they had rushed toward danger instead of away from it. She told him about the plague ship, the stellar storm, the derelict station. She explained how each act of heroism had marked them as dangerous. Your people punish them for saving lives, Forgath asked, confused. Our people fear them because they cannot be controlled. They do not follow proper procedures. They take risks that make administrators uncomfortable, but they save lives. Always they save lives. And you would go to war to protect them? We would go to war to protect our principles, Santos corrected. Captain Ruiz and her crew represent the best of humanity. If we abandon them, we abandon what makes us who we are. Forgath was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Softer, somehow. I have been a pirate for 40 years. I have raided hundreds of ships. I have killed thousands of beings. Do you know what happens when you attack most species? Tell me. They run. Or they surrender. Or they fight just enough to escape. Never in 40 years has anyone charged directly at my ships to save strangers. Never has anyone risked their own lives for people they do not know. That is what heroes do. We do not have a word for hero in the Krail language, Forgath said. The closest translation is fool who dies young, but your people make heroes common, expected. Why? Santos smiled. Because someone has to. Because if everyone looks away, who will help those in need? Humanity decided long ago that we would rather be dangerous fools than safe cowards. The talks continued for 3 days. Slowly, carefully, an agreement took shape. The Krail would cease all hostile actions against human vessels. Humanity would provide medical and rescue training to Krail clans. There would be trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and most importantly, a mutual understanding. We still do not understand you, Forgath admitted on the last day. You are the strangest species we have ever encountered. We don't fully understand ourselves, Santos replied. But we know this, we will always answer a distress call. We will always try to help. Even when it is dangerous, even when it is foolish. That is who we are. Back on the steadfast horizon, life was slowly returning to normal. The ship had been repaired. The crew had recovered from their injuries. But everything had changed. Captain Elena Ruiz stood on the bridge reading messages from across the galaxy. There were thousands of them. Thank you messages, support messages, job offers from a dozen different species who suddenly wanted to hire human cargo crews. Captain, Marcus said, we have a problem. What kind of problem? A good problem. We have more cargo contracts than we can handle. Everyone wants to hire the ship that fought pirates and won. Elena laughed. We didn't win. We barely survived. That is not how the galaxy sees it. They see a cargo ship that took on 3 raiders and saved 47 lives. They see humans who will not abandon anyone in need. It is good for business. It was good for more than business. Across human space, applications to cargo pilot training programs increased by 300%. Young people wanted to be like the crew of the Steadfast Horizon. They wanted to be heroes. The Galactic Council met one final time to discuss the human question. Councillor Vresh stood at the central platform, a new file displayed on the holographic projector. We must address the classification of human vessels as dangerous, he said. This designation has caused confusion and fear, but after recent events we have new information. He pulled up footage from the Battle of New Vancouver. He showed human ships taking damage to protect civilians. He showed hospital ships in a war zone. He showed human medics treating wounded Krail warriors. Humanity is dangerous, Vresh continued, but not in the way we thought. They are dangerous because they will violate any protocol to save lives. They are dangerous because they will fight against impossible odds to protect the helpless. They are dangerous because their compassion cannot be predicted or controlled. You propose removing the designation? The Kreth counselor asked. No, Vresh said. I propose changing it. The new classification appeared on the screen. It was still marked as dangerous, but now there was an annotation. A long annotation that explained exactly what the danger was. Humanity. Dangerous classification. Will respond to any distress call regardless of risk. Will violate safety protocols to rescue endangered individuals. Will engage hostile forces to protect civilians. Approach with caution and respect. If in distress, will respond immediately and with extreme measures to ensure survival of all possible lives. This is acceptable? Fresh asked the council. One by one, the representatives voted. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would remain classified as dangerous. But now everyone would know what that danger meant. Ambassador Threx watched the vote with quiet satisfaction. His injuries had healed, but he would carry scars for the rest of his life. He considered them a small price for being alive. He sent a message to Captain Ruiz, just a few words. Thank you. You showed us what dangerous really means. The war lasted only 3 months, but its effects would echo for generations. The Krell Confederacy signed formal peace treaties with humanity. Several pirate clans actually disbanded, their members seeking legitimate work. The galaxy had seen what happened when you attacked people under human protection. More importantly, the galaxy had seen what humans did with that protection. They didn't conquer. They didn't demand tribute. They simply helped. They answered distress calls. They saved lives. And they absolutely refused to abandon anyone in need. Other species started to change too. The Vexalian Republic created their own fast response rescue teams. The Therian Collective established protocols for emergency interventions. Even the careful Kreth began training volunteers to respond to disasters. It was slow. It was difficult. But humanity's example was spreading. 6 months after the rescue of the Harmonious Dawn, the Steadfast Horizon received a new distress call. This time it was a mining accident in Kreth space. A tunnel collapse. Dozens of workers trapped underground. Captain Elena Ruiz looked at her crew. They looked back at her. No one said anything. They didn't need to. Marcus set course. Maximum speed. We're 3 hours away, Captain. The Kreth military can get there in 2. Then we'll be back up. And we'll bring extra medical supplies. The Steadfast Horizon turned in space, its engines burning hot as they accelerated toward the distress signal. On their hull, the dangerous classification marker glowed red. But now that marker meant something different. It meant help was coming. It meant someone cared enough to take the risk. It meant hope. The Kreth mining station received a message 40 minutes later. It was short, direct, and in heavily accented Galactic Common. This is the cargo ship Steadfast Horizon. We received your distress call. We are on our way. Hold on. Help is coming. In the collapsed tunnel, a young Kreth miner heard the message over his emergency communicator. He had been trapped for 6 hours. He was injured. He was scared. He had almost given up hope. But now the dangerous humans were coming. He started to laugh. It was a sound of relief, of joy, of absolute certainty that he was going to survive. Because if the dangerous humans were coming, then everything was going to be okay. The Steadfast Horizon arrived at the mining station 70 minutes later. Captain Ruiz didn't wait for permission. She didn't ask for clearance. She simply brought her ship in close and opened the cargo bay. Dr. Tanaka, grab your team. Marcus, get the rescue equipment. Everyone else, you know what to do. They knew. They had done it before. They would do it again because someone had called for help, and humans always answered. The galaxy watched this rescue too. They watched as the human crew worked alongside Kreth emergency teams. They watched as humans crawled into unstable tunnels to reach trapped miners. They watched as Dr. Tanaka performed emergency surgery in a half-collapsed medical bay. They watched as every single trapped miner was brought out alive. Counselor Vresh saw the reports and smiled. He pulled up the human classification file and made a small note at the bottom.